Hello and welcome to Shawnee Grows, a place to chat about gardening all around. Tonight, let's talk about filling our raised beds, short, tall, rectangle, round, how to calculate the soil you'll need for filling, and a variety of material options. What type of raised beds are you working on right now? Let me know in the chat. Team Replay, thank you for being here. Please leave a comment below to let me know that you are out there watching us. Let's see who's in the chat. I know we have Creative Redundancy. Good to see you here. Can't stay too long. That's okay. Can wait for Shawnee to spring up on the screen. You always have fun things to say, don't you? So when we talk about filling our raised beds, knowing what you want to use your bed for is kind of the first question you need to answer. We're talking about how much root space a plant needs. That's going to help you figure out how to fill your bed. So some of your perennials and herbs and leafy greens can grow in 6 inches of soil. Now there's plants that have 12 to 18-inch roots. Garlic, onions, chives, lettuce, Brussels sprouts, spinach, corn, cabbage, radish, strawberries. These are just some lists we found in some of the links that we have here in the description. This one says 18 to 24-inch roots, beans, peas, cantaloupe, squash, eggplants, carrots, turnips, beets, potatoes. And then even deeper systems, 24 to 36-inch roots, artichokes, asparagus, parsnips, rhubarb, sweet potatoes, pumpkins, watermelons. So understanding what you want to put in that bed is going to help us figure out what we're filling the bed with. Also understanding what ground pests are in your area. Do you have voles, moles, gophers, armadillos, groundhogs near your growing space? You may need to lay down a hardware cloth at the base of the bed first. So an example of what that would look like to gopher-proof your space is this 1/4-inch hardware cloth, and they even stapled it to the wood. They have cleared the ground underneath. They have the whole process in the description below for North Coast gardening. So there's one example, and then for this one, they have how they built the bed. They put a landscape fabric down, and then they laid the hardware cloth, and then they talk about how they filled it. So those are things you need to consider, because if once you're at, bare ground, the start of it, that would be the best time to do those kinds of things. So the methods for filling, we're going to break down. There's one called hugelkultur, there's one called core, there's one called lasagna, and then I have one more I'll show you. So when we're talking about hugelkultur, I'm sure you've heard of it. It's where you have these layers here. So the base layer can consist of cardboard and then wood. They use sticks, logs, branches. This helps with drainage and reduces the amount of soil you need. The next layer, they call it layer 3, 10% plant waste, a mix of leaves, leaf mold, grass clippings that are dried, kitchen scraps. Layer 4, they're listing as compost. That's what the roots are going to reach for and towards for their nutrients. And then layer 5 would be the very top layer. They list it as organic soil. So native soil mixed with compost, because you want to have your special microbiology of your location incorporated into the bed. So I do encourage you to take soil you actually have on your property and mix it in with your compost of choice for nutrient density. Add your biochar, add your worm castings. Many gardening stores do sell a raised bed blend in a bag. Read the back of it, see what's in it. You can make your own blend. coconut coir or peat moss to retain moisture. There's something called rice hulls. I looked it up. It's pretty expensive. There's also lava rock, acts like perlite and vermiculite, and provides drainage. So again, hugelkultur is talking about a layer of cardboard, a layer of wood, logs, twigs, branches, a layer of plant waste, kitchen scraps, leaves, leaf mold, a layer of compost, and then a layer of soil. The way to figure this out is back to our conversation about what do you want to plant in the bed? Do you need 24 inches of soil and compost for that plant to have a good life? How big is your bed? If your bed is only 24 inches and then you're at your ground level, then you're not going to be doing hugelkultur because you don't have any more volume to fill. Okay. The core gardening method is something called like straw bales in the bottom, and then you fill it with soil. I never came across it until tonight when I did the research. I don't have a picture. So just picture your raised bed. They put a straw bale in it, and then they covered it with your compost and soil. Have anybody tried that? And then the other one is lasagna. So I'll read that. It's very similar to hugelkultur. Tap roots like sunflowers, CR says. Storms, Raiders, and Cats says, oh my god, good evening, Shawnee and friends. We are here for a quick lesson tonight. We're talking about filling raised beds. And CR says, hi, cat dude to Barry. Fill us in, lasagna style. Settling will naturally occur. Yes, CR. Thank you for bringing that up. This is going to be in the back of your head, okay, everyone? Yes. As things break down, as rain comes in, as life goes on, things settle. Is there a way to avoid this? Watch till the end. Dave Knight, hi, let's get growing someday. Yeah, it's going to be negative 30 tonight. I'm going to be okay because there's more snow coming this weekend. So if we just keep having the snow come, then I'll be happy for the next 40 days. And then after 40 days, no more, please. No more. So this lasagna method is your cardboard, water it down. Follow with layers of green and brown matter, watering each layer. So your green matter is the living tissue from kitchen scraps, compost, composted animal manure. Understand if it's hot or cold. Understand how long it's been aged. Understand what that animal ate. Okay? We don't want anyone having bad animal manure that has a harsh chemical in it that could stunt your garden and not have anything grow in it. So just when I say animal manure, you need to really do your due diligences and check on it. Brown matter comes from small branches, twigs, dried grass clippings, dead materials like dried shredded leaves. So the lasagna method is cardboard, water it down, brown, water it down, green, water it down. Keep doing that. And then again, what are you planting in this bed? Go back to our chart about how many inches you need for the plants you want to put in that bed. That's got to be your compost and soil layer. Anything under that is free game to decide hugelkultur, core, or lasagna, or the next one. So if you're working with tall beds, these layers can save you time and money because you don't need to fill the entire bed with soil, especially if you're purchasing bags of it from a store, which I have done. For short beds, you can kind of skip that bottom layer and just focus on nutrient-dense soil, right? So what materials have you used to fill your beds? Drop your ideas in the chat. I'd love to hear your suggestions. The one recommendation here, this is kind of what I went off of, but I had really short beds. This person is saying just fill it with soil. Now this goes back to kind of what CR was saying about the settling. If you just fill it with soil, yes, you'll still have settling, but it's not going to be the same as if you were to do any of the other methods. I can't give an answer as to how much settling happens. It depends on all of the factors in your environment. You're going to have ice and snow? Right on. Snow does have nitrogen a tad. Hello, Serena. Good to see you. Angela Calloway. Hello. Do any of you have raised beds? Silly Lily. Good morning, afternoon, and evening. Welcome to this. Amaponian. Hi. Greetings from Venezuela. Glyphosate and manure. We do not want that. That is correct, Dave Knight. If you get manure from someone and you don't know, you can put a bean seed in it and watch it grow. And if it starts to grow and dies, that manure is probably no good. Silly Lily also talks about animal manure must be aged before use for those that don't know. Right, if it's hot animal manure. So if it's cold animal manure, I know rabbits is one of them. I think goats might be one of them. Don't quote me on this. I used to think deer was okay, but I thought I read that we shouldn't use deer manure. And then llama or alpaca might be another one. I didn't write down quick notes for that because I usually just say stay away from it unless you're an expert in using it and you know the sources. Because if it's hot manure and it hasn't been aged long enough and they ate food like hay that was sprayed with chemicals like glyphosate, broadleaf pesticides, it's still going to be in that manure and it's going to hurt your garden. Serena says, I learned on It's All About the Biology that mustard is a biofumigant at Shawnee Grows. A lady at the demo garden told us that she planted mustard and forgot about it and went to seed. When she pulled it and planted squash, she had no squash bugs. Mustard is also used to get rid of a specific pest in the soil. I saw it over on Jack in the garden. He helps out Kevin on Epic Gardening, so check out that to figure out what the pest was that he was trying to get rid of. If it was nematodes or something. Angela has several. Well, I hope you share about what they're made out of and how you filled them. And if you've done any experiments with like filling one way and filling another way. Silly Lily says we used to have alpaca. They will go to the same area to do their business. Looks like rabbit pellets. Yeah, I think alpaca is cold manure. Like, Miss Sharon, welcome. Live chatter, all messages, y'all. Thank you. Leave, says CR. Tammy Harder, hello, hello. We're just doing a quick pop-up live to educate ourselves and talk about filling raised beds if anyone's interested in that kind of conversation. We also need to discuss what you shouldn't put in your raised bed garden now that we talked about what do you want to put in it because root depth matters with what you're growing. What pests do you have? Do you need to put down a barrier at the bottom? Methods for filling. We went over hugelkultur, core, lasagna, and plain old just fill it up with soil and compost and biochar and your worm castings. Now, what shouldn't we put in it? I'm sure you have some ideas. So the wrong kind of soil can cause problems with airflow. Water can get built up in it and it has drainage issues. So just taking plain old garden soil and filling the whole bed with it isn't ideal. Again, you got to know your environment. Does it rain a lot? Is it hot a lot? There's all different ways to make this work. Plastic sheeting is sometimes used as the base to block out weeds, but plastic ages and becomes fragile. It's not a good choice. Better choices are cardboard. We have seen people use landscape fabric. Something not to put in your bed is rocks or gravel. People have been showing them inside the bed for boosting drainage options, but it creates a false water table and impairs water flow. Just use the rock and gravel around the outside of the bed for a pathway. And I do encourage you to use some of the dirt from your pathway in your soil mix because, again, we want to have your soil's native, natural, microbial blend and life in it mixed in with the bed. Treated lumber is not a good option for putting in your garden beds or building them with it. Plant materials from allelopathic and water-resistant plants should not be used. Black walnut suppresses the growth of nearby plants. Cedar is naturally water-resistant, so I usually hear people talking about cedar beds. I hear them talking about metal raised beds. I thought there was one more. It was like steel or aluminum are the two metals that I've heard. We're going to talk about calculating soil next. Silly Lily says alpaca manure is considered a cold manure, which means it can be added directly without burning the plants. I thought so. Gandalf, welcome to the party. We're doing a quick pop-up live. I had some time to talk about filling your raised beds. Good to see everybody. Supporting Shawnee Grows. We have a goal. By the end of February, I really want to see 1,500 watch time hours. So we're going to watch the replays, share it out, play the playlist. Help me out, guys. Angela says, I use cardboard, limbs, manure, tree branches, and some beds that are 17 inches and just compost, potting soil, and worm castings in the 12-inch beds. Yeah, that comes right down to if it's a short bed and you need all of that 12 inches for roots, then you're just going to be filling it with your growing medium. You don't need fillers, right? Homestead Aquarius, welcome to this. CR says, Shawnee, I'll be here till the bottom of the hour. Thank you for letting us know. Jack Beanstalk, hello everyone. Welcome to our quick talk about filling a raised garden bed. So to calculate the soil, you gotta do some math. The basic, keeping it in feet for a rectangle bed, you take length times width times height. So let's get some visuals here. So this is showing length of the bed, that measurement in feet. Width of the bed, that measurement in feet. Your height, measurement in feet. They multiplied them all together and that equaled the volume. So if you're like, what? This website, impressofdirt.net, has a soil calculator. So I'm scrolling down to get to it. It has where you pick the medium, so soil, mulch, compost, or potting mix. You choose, is it a garden bed, a raised bed, a window box, a flower pot, or urn? And there's a button and it says calculate amount needed. So if you're struggling with what numbers to use, I have included the calculator link in the description. And then there is another link called Vigo Garden that again breaks down length, width, height equals volume. It talks about the circular raised beds. So for round beds, you use a formula of pi times radius squared times height. So radius is your diameter in half, and pi is 3.14. So you can see that right here. And then it talks about geometric beds, hexagonal beds. There's like a whole different, I don't even know what any of that means, guys, because fun fact, math's not my game. So I can't do the math for you, but I have provided tools for you to go in there and type stuff in. So if you have a really tall bed, and you're planning on using hugelkultur or lasagna or core to fill the bottom with filler stuff, when you're calculating your soil for the bed, you're only calculating the part where you're going to have your plant roots in. So anywhere from 6 inches to 36 inches, depending on what you're growing. We went over the crop list in the beginning. Understanding what you're putting in that bed is important for how you're filling it. And again, if you're just doing a short bed, you don't have any filler. You're just putting your soil with your compost and your biochar and your worm castings in. So a short bed is this style. Now I've seen where, you see how there's pathways? They shovel the pathway into the bed to incorporate that, as well as adding their own soil blend. Again, that came down to your cocoa coir or peat moss, perlite or vermiculite, if you're just buying bags of raised bed soil mix. So this is, you're just gonna have soil. Where if you're using the larger, taller beds, like this layout, they probably put a filler in the bottom. So these two links are in the description to read through the article. It kind of shares what they did and what they thought. So when we're talking about maximizing your soil and budget, we all know that this adds up fast. You've already paid for the bed itself, whether you built it, you bought materials, or you bought a kit and you put it together. Maybe you don't have your own compost on site. I encourage you to start your kitchen scraps at least. And you're buying compost. If you're buying biochar versus making it yourself, if you're buying worm castings versus making it yourself, it all adds up. There are ways to bulk buy. Sometimes your local, like, transfer station has a compost pile, and certain times of the year they might have a fill your vehicle up, fill your trunk up, fill your trailer up for a certain price or even free. There is risks when it comes into buying or getting free compost from a site like that, because essentially everyone's came from the town and dumped there, and you don't know what happened between then and there. Um, Sometimes you can get bulk things from local companies and they come drop like yards of it on your property. When you buy something in a bigger amount, it's always a better deal. Using your organic waste is really going to help manage that. But again, you have to remember that things are going to settle. You're going to be top dressing these beds every season with another layer of compost. So again, that was our organic materials list we talked about in the beginning. And then it's important to understand, how are you going to water these raised beds? Because raised beds heat up faster and they dry out faster, which is great in the spring, but in the middle of summer, that's kind of a bad thing. So mulching the top with dried grass clippings, a seedless straw medium. I've seen easy straw that is seedless that you could purchase, but again, I'm not saying you need to purchase stuff. You can find things in your locale that work just as good. The leaves, they lock in the moisture, they protect the roots from extreme temperatures. You can grow your own mulch. We talked about cover crops in the last live stream when we were talking about more sustainable growing methods. So you can check that out. So in the description, somehow I have to get back there. There are videos for you to watch to do your own homework. So I'm going to try and show you the here we go. I don't want that part. I just want that part. So for example, I put in there a video and the title is Pro Gardening Tip, How to Fill Raised Beds Without Breaking the Bank. And it came from the YouTube channel Mi Gardener. Some of you might be familiar with that person. So then to get to the next one, I don't have these pre-set up like I do on my other tabs, so Just bear with me here. How to fill a raised bed and save 60% on soil costs. And you might recognize Epic Gardening. So this is a video you can watch. It's only almost 7 minutes long. I'm sure there's beautiful things in it. It's all about the season of not growing is all about your time for research. So you've got time, right? This is another one that I put in the description. It says how to fill raised garden beds cheap and easy. And it is by the gardening channel with James Prigioni. I can't say that, sorry. Maybe some of you have already watched these videos. Getting inspiration. How to start your first garden complete guide. Stop wasting money filling raised beds. Fill them like this. Setting up the raised bed garden. There is a garden bed build 3.0 video on how to build a bed. I did have a link to an article that showed how to build a basic bed as well. You can buy bed kits. I have links for the hardware cloth that we talked about to keep out armadillos and gophers and groundhogs and moles and voles to put at the bottom of the bed when you're on ground zero starting, as well as worm castings and biochar and fish hydrolysate fertilizer, all kinds of fun things in the description. Yes, Tammy Harder, tack cloth at the bottom. So in the beginning of the live stream, we talked about understanding your pests. So some people use a landscape fabric and then the hardware cloth, which we showed, and there's a link to what it is in the description. I have done raised bed gardening before, and I did use a landscaping fabric. I think if I were to do it again, I would just put cardboard down, and I don't have those kinds of pests in my area, so it's like, well, if I'm building one, should I just put it in there anyways, just in case that happens? I don't know. You have the Vigo beds. I wondered about those. Are you happy with the Vigo beds? Jay Dixon. Hello, welcome. I did not have this scheduled ahead of time per se. It was more of a pop-up live. I did not have any work to do tonight, and so I took advantage of coming on here and sharing some knowledge about filling raised beds. We'd love to hear from everybody. I have a goal to reach 1,500 watch hours by the end of February, so we are here sharing some garden talk. Howie culture. So there's a channel called Food Forest Permaculture. And when you type that in, you can't find it, then do hashtag Pathway Soil Bank and you'll see a video series by Food Forest Permaculture. And he talks about building soil in layers where you kind of dig a trench, you dump your kitchen waste in there. He's done bones from the butcher with lime. You add your leaves. So again, that's that green, brown, cover it back up, and it will turn into wonderful compost. So there's no such thing as late. No, no, no. Yes, Pathway Soil. We do have a website where you can stop on over and grab your free square foot gardening guide. They are downloadable PDFs that you can then print, and we do have two other options on there. One is a salad garden plan, which is perfect for a raised bed garden. I tell you what crops to get, how to plant them, how to take care of them, and some other goodies. And then there is a garden planning checklist that goes along with our live stream. Garden planning checklist. It goes through questions and brainstorming during this winter time of ways to start thinking about, well, where do I start with my garden, right? Silly Lily says if you put wood chips between your beds for the pathways, it chokes out weeds, and if deep enough, soft on your feet. I love that you brought up wood chips. So I have seen people talk about putting wood chips in their beds as a layer, and you have to be careful with that. And you can do your own research and decide if you want to do that or not. I know that if I get wood chips, I want ones that are mixed from an arborist that also have the leaves in them. I do see wood chips in pathways all the time. It can be very helpful. You need to get a good amount in there. And I have seen people inoculate their wood chips with edible mushrooms that they've purchased the spores of, and I think that's a wonderful thing. They sound a lot better versus walking on a gravel. You know what I mean? Chopping and dropping is a fantastic way to create that mulch layer that we were speaking about in your raised garden bed to keep it from drying out. And it's feeding the soil food web. We talked highly about the soil food web on our last live stream, talking about regenerative agriculture, just more sustainable food systems. Check it out. Cover crops, we also mentioned. You got to know your timing. You got to know your termination plan before you plant those seeds. There's a lot that goes into the figuring out of cover crops. In the last live stream, we gave a calculator website that you could go in and talk about what is the purpose you're looking for your cover crop. What time of year would you be putting it in, whether it's hot or cold at that time, that matters. And they'll help you create a blend. A cover crop should have like 8 plant families in it if you want it to really rejuvenate your soil. It's so good to see everybody. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Richard's here. Hello. This weekend, my mission is my IBC totes raised beds. That's fantastic. I love the idea of using something and repurposing it and filling it. Hopefully, you get some ideas. I'm sure you have all kinds of different things over there that I don't know about that you could fill your bed with. Help Shawnee fill her garden bed with WT. Watch time? Is it watch time? The Backwoods Misfit. What are you doing over here? Hello. Thanks for stopping by. We're almost done with our live stream. Like I said, it was just going to be a quick pop up. I'm trying to get watch time hours. I had a topic to talk about filling raised beds for your garden. It's good to see you all here supporting the channel. Texas Raider. Hello. Yes, this was a surprise. Surprise live. We've gone through all of our information, so check out the replay, check out the links in the description below. There's all kinds of videos and links to articles with pictures and links to tools or items you might need in this kind of situation. Jay Dixon says, switching to raised beds was one of the best decisions I have made. I use a form of adaptive hugelculture. I really think that the raised beds expand the possibilities for humans to garden longer and in more places, right? Okay, CR says, okay, all take care. I'm rooting for you and I'll see you later. See you, CR. See you around. Have a good night. Silly Lily says, you don't wood chips mixed with the soil only as the top layer. I use wood chips on pathways between the beds. I agree that that's a good solution for pathways. You could also do living pathways. There's a book that let's see. It's a really good book. Is it in here? It's about Jesse Frost, no-till gardening, the Living Soil Handbook, the No-Till Grower's Guide to Ecological Market Gardening. It has a chapter or a page or a section about cover crops and about living pathways. Scott, hello, good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Did I read that one already? Is that in there twice? You don't want wood chips mixed with soil only as a top layer. I use wood chips on pathways between the beds. Right. Freedom, Redbird, Brenda. Thank you for coming in to say hi and supporting the channel. We are trying to get our watch time hours up to 1,500 by the end of February. I just had a quick live to talk about our raised bed gardens. We went over the different types of plants that you need to consider when filling the bed, because different plants require different amounts of root space. So that's something you have to figure out. How do you want to fill your bed? How do you calculate the soil? What pests do you have in the area? So, like what you see, don't forget to subscribe for more gardening pop-up chats with my lifestyle. It has to kind of be random. You can always catch the replay. They are available forever. Sometimes the live chat isn't on the replay because the video is still processing, and I'm sorry, but it's on. The button's on to be able to read the chat. Come back later if you want to read it and it's not on there yet if you're in the replay. Again, check out the description for all the links for the videos and the articles and images and all that stuff. We're going to wrap it up and head on out. So I encourage everyone to grow every day in every way and to learn as you grow.